Welcome to Breaking Par with Bernard Sheridan, the only weekly golf instruction podcast that interviews the best golf industry pros from around the globe. Now, here's your host, Advanced Impact Zone golf instructor, Bernard Sheridan.
Katherine, hi. Welcome to Breaking Par. I'm so glad that you're here today.
It's great to be here. It's been kind of a long time coming, so I'm glad we finally got to do this.
Yeah, it did take us a while to get on the same schedule. We're both so crazy busy, and there's so many great things happening in your life right now that I'm seeing on social media and things like that with the most beautiful women in golf and of course your very successful yoga for golfers and all those great things. And then when I spoke to you originally on the phone and you said that you were from the Philadelphia area originally, I immediately felt closer to you and felt a kinship. So that's really nice.
We bonded over soft pretzels and butterscotch crimpets. And for the listeners who aren't from Philly, they might not know, but the Philadelphia tri-state area people will get it.
Oh, they'll definitely know. And we have a lot of listeners in that area because I was originally from that area. And where I am now, I've only been here for like 3 months. So it's really kind of neat to talk to somebody from back home who hasn't been there for a while. And then what was even crazier was that you were raised so close to where I was raised too.
Yeah. Born and raised there, and but I've lived in Arizona more than I've actually spent more years in Arizona than I have in Philadelphia. But it's still home. You can't take the Philly out of the girl.
No, it's always just part of who you are.
Exactly.
And I think that is with me too. Even though I haven't been away for that long, I'm probably going to be away for quite a while. So because I pretty much have already planted roots here in Naples, and I don't think I'm going to be going anywhere for a while.
There you go. Yeah, nice.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about how did you originally get involved in the sport of golf mainly? And then I have other things that I want to ask you about these other sports that you're involved in recently too. But how did you just get first into golf?
Well, I grew up playing the game. I always kind of tell the story that I would be upstairs as a little girl and I would hear my parents talking about when they were in Puerto Rico 7 years before that time, and my dad saying to my mom, "Oh yeah, remember when you hit that shot on 7 at Dorado Beach?" And they were always talking about golf. Both my parents played on the golf team. I played golf as a child, mostly with my dad, and so being around golf, playing the sport, being involved in the community is something that I was just always raised with. So I continued to play. I mean, I didn't play, I'm a good golfer, but I didn't play like at a collegiate level or anything like that. And I live in Scottsdale and I had a corporate job and I was working for a Fortune 500 company and I was a district manager in sales. And I was playing golf up at Desert Mountain and the woman I was playing with was a 5 handicap. And I thought, okay, well, whatever she's doing is something that I need to be doing. And it turned out that she was a yoga instructor, and this was 17 years ago. And I had never done yoga, even though I was involved in group fitness and personal training, and I did all that on the side. I actually played competitive tennis as a junior at a pretty high level. And anyway, she was my first exposure to yoga, and I was immediately taken with it. I loved it so much. And so again, she was a 5 handicap, and at the time I was playing to about a 28. Well, when I started doing yoga, I started to play better golf, and I was hitting the ball better. I had kind of more connection to the ground. I was able to facilitate more power and more distance in a way that I hadn't been able to do before. And I was also able to kind of quiet my mind and get more focused. And I was so in love with yoga that I quit my corporate job. And I decided to teach yoga full time. Well, that was 17 years ago. And yoga was not as popular as it was. So kind of backtracking to your question, which is how did I kind of start this? I was teaching yoga at golf facilities around Scottsdale, the Boulders, Desert Mountain, Desert Highlands, all these areas. And my golfers were coming back to me and saying, same thing that I just shared about my own experience. I'm hitting the ball better. My back doesn't hurt. I'm able to focus. I'm more balanced. I'm more confident over a putt, all of these things. And so I thought, oh, what about yoga for golfers? And that was how I started my business.
Isn't it funny how, sometimes we just fall into what we do, and that we never intended when we were younger to even think about being in that. And then all of a sudden, this little bug bites us, and there's no turning back. And you just know that that's it.
It's funny you said that. You never intended it. And now I can't envision anything but it. Mm. And, I started yoga for golfers because I wanted to bridge the gap of bringing golfers into the benefits and the gifts of yoga. And so by learning more about, I'm always a student like you. You and I have talked about this a lot, that we never stop learning.
Can't.
And no, never stop learning. And so I really wanted to, as I said, bridge that gap between kind of what was happening in yoga studios and where golfers were. And how can I bring golfers into the benefits and the gifts of yoga, not just on the golf course, but off the golf course. And that's really been, I've two kind of guiding principles in my everyday life and in my business. And one is what I just stated. And the other one is, how can I be of maximum service to everyone that I come in contact with today? And that is my guiding principle. That is my guiding principle for my company, for myself personally, for all of our teachers all over the globe, because we have teachers in 21 countries, and this is the principle and the philosophy that we use every single day.
I am the same way, and I feel that I heard Zig Ziglar say once that find what you're passionate about that can help others. And do what you can to help others, and you will be taken care of. And
I completely agree with that. I do the work on a daily basis to do everything that I can to provide, content and information and new programming, and I'm always learning. So our method is progressing. But it's beautifully stated, Bern. And, I heard, I don't know who said this and I apologize, but the most important word in the English language is not love, it's others.
Yep. We need to be helping each other. And if we do that, I think that, some people, I think that when you're younger, you feel a little bit more self-serving. You want to get what you want and things like that. As you start to mature and get a little bit older, you realize that when you do stuff for other people, and I don't mean just stuff, I mean like important things, and little things too, you really feel so much better about yourself. And then all of a sudden you start to realize that the more you do for others, the happier you become, because it fulfills you, and you feel like you have a sense of purpose. And I know that for me, I can't go a day without doing something for somebody else. And when I do, I feel like it was a wasted day.
You do it every day. Helping people and enjoy the game, and to be able to experience golf on it's a bit redundant, but to enjoy the game is helping people be of maximum service, and to help grow the game and play tournament. I love golf so much. I love when I'm out there, and I don't care where I am in the world, because I'm blessed to be able to teach golfers all over the world, and I play incredible places.
There they are. They always show up. That's okay. It's called real life.
Yeah, exactly. But when I'm golfers, like pick Arizona, I just played last week, and the sun is setting, and the saguaro cactuses are kind of like glistening in the sun, and the shadow from the golf ball is long. It's like, oh my goodness, this is so phenomenal. I love it.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff, and it just makes the whole thing so enjoyable.
Yeah.
to
Isn't that
be
what we
around and to do. And then when people get better, or you see they come back to you because they got better at what they're doing from your help, that's incredibly rewarding. And I know that too. A lot of it really relieves stress in people's lives. And if you can relieve stress in their lives, I mean, how many people have played a good round of golf and then have gone home and had road rage on the way home? It's just not going to happen, you know? But if they play terrible, they're really mad. Then they get in the car and they're, let's go. I want to go get a beer, you know, or whatever. And then there's more stress. Then they create more stress on other people. And now it's just, you know, like a chain reaction. But if you can make it a chain reaction in the right direction by just doing a little thing that one day that helped them, then, and if it's through golf and it's what you love and they love it, or if they didn't love it, they wouldn't be coming to you.
Absolutely. It's funny though, when you talk about the road rage, you know, and tying it back to golf, you know, one of the things that we really focus on in yoga is breathing. It's like the foremost thing that we teach. First thing, how do you breathe? Because frankly, most people breathe, I say this as a joke, but it's true. Most people breathe like hamsters. Like, have you ever seen a hamster breathe? It's like, right?
Yeah.
And you know, what we're teaching is how people can take long, deep diaphragmatic breaths. And the reason we do that is because people need to learn how to access sympathetic nervous system. That's the calming nervous system. So when you talk about rage or, you know, anxiety or tension or frustration on the golf course, the fastest way that you can get from that kind of road rage scenario, which is the sympathetic nervous system all agitated, to more of the parasympathetic nervous system, is to have people take a nice big inhale, and when they exhale, kind of open up their mouth a little bit, let their jaw relax, and let the diaphragm drop down in and back.
Yeah, I mean, breath is so important. It really is.
Yeah.
It can totally change the entire dynamic of the body, and I know that yoga is based around a lot of that, and that's probably why it's such a great match for golf. Because if golfers did that too, their body would relax. They wouldn't feel so tense over the ball and feel like they have to produce something. They can just let it happen then.
When you think about, and you can speak to this, how many, for teaching golf for so many years, and you know, in teaching now, people are they're nervous when they're coming to take a lesson. They're nervous when they're standing over the first tee, or they're nervous when they've just had a 3-putt and they're walking to the next tee box. And a body that is holding physical tension simply cannot execute an efficient, effective, consistent, repeatable golf swing with any type of fluidity. And the fastest way to relieve that tension in the body is with that breath, but not the breath like this, like right? It's a long, slow, gentle inhale. The diaphragm has to expand, and the exhale has to relax the jaw and let the diaphragm drop down. It lets all the tension drop down, and then you begin your takeaway.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I totally agree. So,
Yes.
So some of the things that you're doing, are there specific things in yoga that you do directly just for golf that might be different than some of the things that maybe a normal yoga class would be doing?
Everything we do is 100% driven by the biomechanics of the golf swing. So I'll give you an example. So I'm not going to stand up, but if you think about what's called the 3 planes of motion, there's 3 planes in kinesthetic movement, okay? Kinesiology, these 3 planes of motion. And the first one is called the sagittal plane, and that's when the body flexes and extends, okay? And it's moving in this plane. So anytime you flex any part of your body or extend it, it could even be where your ankle needs to bend at address, right? Where your knee needs to flex at address, where your hips need to flex at address. That's called the sagittal plane of motion. Then there's what's called the frontal plane of motion, which is any lateral bending or anything that moves in this plane of motion. In the golf swing, very often, there's maybe at address, especially with a driver, you might want to drop a shoulder or whatever that is. So there's obviously lateral bending in golf. Mm-hmm. The last plane of motion is called transverse plane, which is rotation. Okay, everybody knows that the golf swing is a coiling and it's a rotational movement. But it's not just a rotational movement. It's the sagittal plane flexion and extension. It's the frontal plane lateral bending, and it's the transverse plane rotation. The reason why I kind of preface this by explaining those planes of motion is that the Yoga for Golfers program moves your body in a very sequential plane of motion so that it is very golf specific. So now, here's the thing, though, too. Just because you're moving in what we call triplanal rotational patterns and progressions doesn't mean that they're more difficult. It just means that that's how the methodologies are designed, because that's exactly what happens in the golf swing. And, and by the way, flexion of the trunk, lateral bending, and transverse rotation puts the lumbar spine in maximal compression, shear, force, torque. Right?
Yes.
So it's so important to be working your body in a way that can help you get into these positions, like we said, for efficient, effective, consistent swing. And so if somebody goes to a regular yoga class, yoga is great. I don't want to discourage anyone from doing yoga, because
I agree.
Yoga is great. But our programs are designed specifically for golf.
Now, these things help balance too, correct?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I know that a lot of yoga movements, almost like Tai Chi too. It's very balanced, and
Yes.
and that can really translate into golf, because balance in sports, well, it can translate into any sport.
Absolutely.
Balance in sport is essential.
Right. Well, if you think about it. If you think about, walking the course, so you're going to walk 4 to 5 miles in 18 holes. Okay. So you're walking 4 to 5 miles. Think of how many times you are 100% sure that you're going to be on an even lie.
Never.
Well, it's really only 18. It's called the tee box.
Yeah, and even there, I've seen it. If you were playing a lot in Pennsylvania, there's not a lot of level tee boxes either.
Right.
So there might be, and I know there is down here in Florida. There might be some more in Arizona. It's a little bit flatter, but certain states, it's not.
Right. So there's the position of your feet, which are in an uneven lie. But obviously, as you begin the takeaway, there is a shifting, a transference of weight distribution, et cetera. So there's so much that has to happen in the body in this chain reaction that starts in the feet in the ketamatic sequence and goes all the way up the body and out to the club. There's so many things that have to happen. And the way that sequence is, again, efficient must be my word for today. But, for it to happen efficiently, there needs to be that balance of mobility and stability, that balance of where you're flexible and you're strong. It's not just, and so I think too, people kind of think about yoga and they go, well, I need more flexibility, so yoga would be great. I think the big surprise is how strong they can get from doing yoga for golfers, because again, it's all designed in ways that are golf centric.
Right. So how how can that translate into other sports too? Like, let's say I have and the reason why I say this is I know that this past season you were working with the Chicago Cubs. Mm-hmm. And unbelievably, the Chicago Cubs had one of the best seasons they've had in a very, 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 like, almost history, it seems. Yeah. And I'm sure that what you were doing with them had a lot to do with that. It maybe not all of it, but it did. I don't think that it probably would have happened in that way if you weren't working with them.
Well, I say that I am just one spoke in the huge wheel of conditioning, coaching, mindset conditioning, nutrition. it's a great journey. It's great to be on the journey with them. And, and I work with 6 other baseball teams as well. And I've been in Major League Baseball for 13 years.
So there you go. So that's something that I learned new about you today and recently, because when I saw that you were working with the Cubs, I thought wow, I thought she was more just involved in golf. I didn't know that she was involved with baseball teams. And for me too, baseball is like really my first love. Even though I'm in the golf profession, I am just a baseball head, and I'll still sit there and watch the Phillies lose tragically. And my wife will go like when they were winning, she was like, "Oh, the Phillies are on," and we would never miss a game. And then when they started to not play as well, she looked at me and she goes, "Do we have to watch this?" And I'm like, "It's the Phillies. I mean, we still got to support them."
Also, you don't want to be a fair weather fan. Come on, Bert.
So, she likes winners.
You don't want to be a fair weather fan. You're either a fan or you're not a fan.
I agree.
Yeah.
And I'm a diehard, so I love them no matter how good or bad they do. And
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just the way I am.
It's a real honor and a privilege to be able to work in Major League Baseball. And the reason I got into baseball is I actually got recruited into baseball with a head coach that knew me from golf.
Okay.
Because they wanted someone to work with their athletes who understood biomechanics, who understood the specific needs of an athlete. It's not necessarily, people think, oh, you're working with very high level athletes, either in golf or in baseball, that, wow, those workouts must be really intense. It's not that they're intense. It's that they're specific for the sport. And so we were just talking about the kinematic sequencing in golf. It's actually identical in hitting.
Yep.
So because of that biomechanical background that I have and how I approach it, and I work very, very closely with all of the coaches, whether it be the base running coaches or the catching coaches or the pitching coaches or the head strength coaches or the athletic trainers. I'm a spoke in the wheel of all of their performance. So I certainly could never take credit for any of that.
I'm over exaggerating. I'm being nice. That's what I'm doing. I mean, I didn't say that you single handedly took the Cubs too close to getting to the World Series, but I think that that because you're part of that ever of all those spokes that you mentioned, that if that spoke was missing, that would be a weaker link there. And
I absolutely agree. And and coming back and talking from the golf perspective is that when I'm working with a golfer, I say I need to talk to your swing coach. I need to see video of your swing. I do a lot of live remote coaching. I have clients in Dubai and South Africa and Wales and parts of the US that I've never met in person, but I do live remote coaching with them. And I always say, I have to see your swing. How can I be, if we talked about in the beginning, maximum service? How can I be of maximum service if I'm only looking at one piece?
Right.
And I have what's called a fellow in applied functional science and chain reaction biomechanics. So and that's a functional training program through the Gray Institute that I'm certified in. And when I look at the body, I don't look at just somebody comes to me and they say, oh, my back hurts. I don't just look at their back. I start with doing a gait assessment. I have them walk. And I do that with my athletes at all levels, because as you walk is how you move.
Yes.
And there's a lot of correlations between how you walk and how you swing a golf club or how you throw a baseball. So I do gait assessment, postural assessments, talk to the swing coach, look at video. And, and I think that it's having that cohesive team is really important for the athlete. And when I use the word athlete, I love Bill Bowerman, who's one of the co-founders of Nike, said, if you have a body, you're an athlete. And it's true. We're all athletes, whether we are at a high level or we're just getting up out of a chair. If you have a body, you're an athlete, and you need to treat it as such.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be able to stay balanced, and you have to be able to walk from A to B and do all those things and not trip over your own feet. So all those things are important, and understanding especially how important a team is, to have a team in the corner of whoever you're working with, then that way you have several different advantages to be the best that you can. I know that at Impact Zone Golf, we're a lot like that too. We have biomechanic people, we have swing coaches, and then we have all different types of technology, and then there's certain guys who specialize in that technology, so then they're working with those people. So it's really just a whole team that is serving the athlete, no matter what that athlete is and what level they are. And like you said, everybody's an athlete. We have people come in there who shoot in the 90s and they think they're not I'm not an athlete. I said, you sure are. I mean, and if you treat yourself that way, and of course, again, with yoga too, we do that. That's involved in there too. And as we spoke before we went on the air, we're looking to bring your program to Impact Zone Golf, and it will be wonderful to have it there. And I'm really thrilled of the opportunities that it could bring.
Me too.
For both teams, and having you on that team, and maybe even doing some remotes with some of the people that we deal with would be pretty cool.
Absolutely. Would love to do it. Yeah. It's, and again, if you look at all the best athletes in the world, they're not doing this alone. And I think that it's, to find this team of people that you trust, who, by the way, also talk to each other. I have never reached out to a swing coach and had them say, oh, I'm not going to show you my client's swing. I mean, that has never happened, not once in the 16 years that I've done this. They're thrilled that they're fitness professionals interested in learning more about what they're doing. Because this is why also in baseball, I'm in the conversations of all the different coaches. And they see what I'm doing. As a matter of fact, most of them take my classes. And so the coaches are all in, and that's a really important message for the athlete too.
I totally agree. I know that with our facility, we have what we call Impact Zone Central, and what that really is Edufy, and we use it, and I'm sure you do too. And it's great that now you have all these coaches are in that team. Every time one coach posts something, those other coaches know about it. They can look at it. They can give their input. And now also there's no mixed messages. Everybody's on the same page. Right. Everybody knows what each person is working with on the, for that athlete, so that they can give their input to that. And 2, 3, 4, 5 heads are always better than one. And sometimes the more the merrier. Sometimes it can get a little crazy, but overall, I think that the more the merrier, and that's that input from all those other perspectives, from swing coaches, from people who are more technical, from people who are more biomechanical, from all those different points. It really makes a huge difference in the acceleration process of the learning curve. And to me, I've always tried, one of my biggest goals as an instructor is to accelerate the learning curve without so that it's proficient as possible in the shortest period of time.
I love that strategy, and it's great. It's eloquently put. It's proficient as possible in the shortest amount of time. People like to see results, and it is a team effort, and there's a lot of information out there that can get really confusing. I just saw something, I don't know where it was. Somebody forwarded it to me, and it was like the 7 reasons why stretching before you play a round of golf is detrimental to your game, or something like that. And I was like, I'm not even going to open that. That makes no sense. But then again, remember back in the day, margarine was good, butter was, margarine was good, butter was bad. Eat shrimp, don't eat shrimp. Have an egg, burn, don't have an egg.
Yeah. This causes cancer, that doesn't. Eat that. And next thing, 2 weeks later, that causes cancer. Wait a second. A year ago, you told me that didn't cause cancer, that I should be eating it. Now I've been eating this all this time. And so it's like things like that. You take it with a grain of salt. And
just because of that, when we finish this call, I'm going to make sautéed shrimp with egg and butter.
Well, it's high cholesterol. That's okay. You're in good shape.
Yeah, but
You can
it's
afford to
all
splurge once in a while.
of course, it's all about moderation.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And it's if you can have whatever you want as long as you don't overdo it.
Of course.
And because anything in great quantities is not good. I mean, heck,
I
what
agree.
the heck? Like even water is not good if it's in great quantities.
I agree.
So
I just wanted to touch on one thing you were talking about is kind of just back to the team piece.
Mhm.
Is that I really want the listeners to reach out to me if they have any questions or comments. If they want to send me video of their swing, send it to you. I don't want to put you on the spot here, but maybe send the video to you, and you and I could take a look at it together, and we could maybe give some insight. I mean, I really want the listeners to know that I'm here to help them. And if they are interested in doing that, I'm more than happy to take a quick look at it.
Oh, no, that's great. And I know that we always like to find out how can our listeners contact you or contact a guest, and you're our guest today. So how can they contact you, and what are all the different ways that they can contact you, so that way, if they have questions, if it's just a simple question, how can they ask that? If it is, they want you to look at their swing, what's involved with that, things of that nature. So what is the best way in chronological order here?
Right. Well, I'm gonna. The best way to contact me is directly through email, and that's Kathrine, and it's KATHERINE at yoga for FOR, not FOUR, FOR golfers.com. So it's Kathrine at yogaforgolfers.com.
Okay.
The website is yogaforgolfers.com. Again, FOR. We have a resource on the website, which is a really good place to start. A lot of people say to me, I've never done yoga. I really want to do this. I'm really interested in your program. I'm not really sure where to start. So we formulated a program on our website called YFG, which is Yoga for Golfers, YFG Golfers Profile. And if you go to the homepage, it's on the upper right-hand corner of the homepage. You can just click onto that. And what it does, Bern, is it asks you about 15 questions, okay? So the first few questions are, what are your strengths on the golf course? My chipping's really great. I hit it long off the tee, whatever it is. What are the 3 biggest challenges? I'm challenged with focus. Maybe my posture is an issue. And then it continues to ask you questions about, do you get to the course 5 minutes before you tee off, 30 minutes? How much do you work out? It's a very simple thing. Based on those responses, there's 26 possible different buckets of answers that can come up. So it's not just a random thing. And what you'll receive instantly in your email are the 90 to 2 to 3 minute training tips that are the solutions for the questions that you answer based on that golfer's profile. And I really love that because, again, let's say, for example, I say, well, I really want to get more mobility in my hips. Then you're going to receive more training tips that have to do with hip mobility than if you say, I want to get more turn. Then those training tips will help you with that. And I really encourage the listeners to do that. It's 100% free. It's complimentary. And it's a way that people can just get started. And, it's never too late to start. It's never too late to just put 15 minutes 3 or 4 days a week into your Yoga for Golfers program, and I guarantee you'll see results.
No, I agree. On the never too late to start. I mean, and that old saying, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, is a fallacy. They've proven through brain science over the past 20 years that the brain has enough plasticity that even at the age of 80, new neuron paths can be built. And if new neuron paths can be built, then that means new things can be learned. So that's really definitely a true statement. So I want to thank you.
I was just going to say the thing about, new things can be learned with an open mind and willingness.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. I mean, you have to decide that you're committed, that you want to do it, and then you have to stick to that commitment. There's so many people who say they want to do it, but then they go, well, I really don't have the time, or they'll make excuses. With some people who want to do it, there's never an excuse. Yeah. I mean, it's they're just going to do it, and that's it, and they're not going to make an excuse, and they're going to find time somehow to do it. Even though in this day and age, everybody's so crazy busy with so many different things in their lives, let alone business, but personal and all these other things, and with social media stuff, and there's just so much going on.
It's true, and I just think it's a matter of priority. And just, lastly is I have a philosophy, which is adherence over duration is the most important piece. And I would encourage the listeners to, even, as I just said, take 15 minutes a day to work on your mobility, to work on your breathing, to work on a little bit of balance. I mean, and again, I've worked with, we talk about Major League Baseball and golf and at a very high level. I have clients that are 85, 88 years old, and frankly, they're my most favorite clients. When I have a client that this just happened recently, is I had like a half-hour session with him, and we were in the kitchen, and his wife was paying me, and he interrupted us, and he said, wait, no, don't just wait 1 second. He said, watch me walk. And he said, look, I'm walking and my balance is better. Like, that makes me kind of look up to the universe and say, how did I get to be so blessed to do this?
Yeah, it's a wonderful thing to help others. I know we talked about that earlier. It really is. It's just, when you're doing what you love and you're helping other people and touching their lives, there's nothing better than that.
I agree.
Yeah, it was great having you here. I mean,
Thank you, Bern.
I'm going to have you back because I want to talk a lot more about other things. But unfortunately, we're kind of starting to crunch on time here.
Okay.
But I know how busy you are. But hopefully, we'll be able to have you back in maybe a live segment or something like that, where we can have people, because we're working on trying to make that happen. And then once we do, we'll definitely be in touch, and maybe you can be a part of that. That would be wonderful.
I would love to. Thank you so much.
Great. Take care. And what we always say here in parting is do your best to keep it in the short grass until we meet again.
I love it. Okay. Take care.
All righty.
You've been listening to Breaking Par with Bernard Sheridan, the only weekly golf instructional podcast that helps you take control of your game.